US Immigration Journey 2025 Talk Show Part 1. Starting the Journey. Learn English Easy.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pathway to Citizenship. I'm your host, Anne, citizenship coach, history nerd, and the woman who can make even the Electoral College sound like a sitcom. Tonight, we're diving into the toughest questions of the US Citizenship Test. And joining me is a very special guest, my student, my partner in this adventure, Mark.
Thanks, Anne. I'm nervous, but also excited. Like butterflies in my stomach, but they're wearing red, white, and blue wings.
That's perfect. Nervousness keeps you sharp. Excitement keeps you engaged. Audience, let's give him some encouragement. Now, Mark, a lot of people think the civics test is just about memorizing 100 questions. But if you only memorize, your brain turns into a computer with bad Wi-Fi. Answers load slowly or not at all.
That's me. The officer asks a question, and suddenly it's like buffering.
Exactly. That's why tonight we're not just memorizing answers, we're connecting with the stories behind them. So let's start at the very foundation, the Constitution. Mark, when you hear the word Constitution, what pops into your head?
Honestly, a dusty old piece of paper sitting behind glass.
Fair enough. It is behind glass at the National Archives, but picture this instead. America is a skyscraper. 50 floors, each floor a state, elevators moving up and down, tenants throwing birthday parties, arguing about parking spots. Now, what keeps that skyscraper standing?
The blueprint.
Exactly. The Constitution is the architect's plan. It sets up the structure, keeps it from collapsing, and it's also the building's security system, making sure one neighbor can't suddenly claim the rooftop pool for themselves.
Okay, that actually makes sense.
So when the officer asks, "What does the Constitution do?" you'll answer, "It sets up the government, defines the government, and protects basic rights." But in your head, you'll see the skyscraper blueprint and the security system.
That's way better than robotic memorization.
Exactly. Now here's another tough one. What is the rule of law?
I know this one. Everyone has to follow the law.
Bingo. No one is above it. Imagine the president speeding down the highway. Blue lights flash. Does the police officer say, "Oh, sorry, you're the president. Go ahead"?
No, they can stop him.
Exactly. That's the rule of law. And America needed that because the founders had just broken away from kings who acted untouchable.
In my home country, leaders acted like kings too. This idea that the leader isn't above the law, it feels powerful.
That's why I love teaching this. These questions aren't random trivia. They're the DNA of the nation. Okay, let's talk rights. Mark, name one right from the First Amendment.
Freedom of speech.
Correct, but don't forget the other four: religion, press, assembly, petition. To remember, I say raps, like your freedom raps. Imagine you're dropping a rap album called First Amendment, the mixtape.
Track 1, freedom of speech. Track 2, freedom of religion.
Exactly. You'll never forget it now. But here's the tricky part. People often confuse rights with responsibilities. Rights are what you get. Responsibilities are what you give back.
Example.
Sure. Right. You can vote. Responsibility. Only citizens must vote in federal elections and serve on juries. That's not just privilege, that's duty.
So rights are like Netflix. You get shows to watch. Responsibilities are like paying the subscription fee.
Brilliant. If nobody paid, Netflix would collapse. Same with democracy. If nobody votes, the system breaks.
So, if I don't vote, I'm basically binge watching without paying my share.
Exactly. Citizenship is a subscription where you also help write the next season. Beautiful. Now, before we wrap this segment, let's throw in a little history spice. The Declaration of Independence, when was it adopted?
July 4th, 1776.
Yes, and what did it do?
Announced independence from Britain.
Perfect. And that's why every July 4th isn't just hot dogs and fireworks. It's the birthday of freedom.
I never thought of it that way.
That's the magic, connecting answers to meaning. When we come back, we'll tackle the three branches of government by turning them into sitcom roommates. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Pathway to Citizenship. In this segment, we're diving into one of the most intimidating parts of the test, the branches of government. Mark, do you remember how many branches there are?
3. Legislative, executive, and judicial.
Correct. But here's how I want you to picture them. Not as boring branches, but as three roommates in a sitcom.
Oh, I like this already.
Okay, roommate 1, legislative. This is Congress. They write the rules of the House. No parties after 10 p.m.
Classic.
Roommate 2, executive. That's the president. They enforce the rules. Hey, turn down that music.
Very bossy roommate.
Exactly. And then we have roommate 3, judicial. That's the Supreme Court. They interpret the rules. Well, technically, this isn't a party. It's a study session.
Oh wow. That actually sticks in my head.
And that's checks and balances. None of the roommates can take over the apartment. They keep each other in line.
Like my old college apartment.
Exactly. And here's a numbers trick. Senators serve 6 years. S for Senate, S for 6. Representatives, just 2 years, like a short phone contract.
I like that. Shorter contract, shorter attention span.
Right. And remember, 100 senators, 435 representatives.
435 is a big number. Any trick?
Think 435 is alive. The House is the big, noisy party room. More members, shorter terms. The Senate is the quiet, fancy dinner party. Fewer people, longer terms.
Okay, that's solid.
Now, here's a tough test-style question. Who makes federal laws?
Congress.
Perfect. And who signs bills into law?
The President.
And who reviews laws?
The Supreme Court.
Exactly, each roommate with their own role. Let's do a mini role play. I'll be the legislative roommate. New house rule: everyone must wash dishes immediately after eating.
You heard her. Forks in the sink are a violation.
But what about popcorn? Is that technically a dish or just a snack?
This is way too real.
And just like that, you've got checks and balances in your head forever. Now, here's a tricky one people forget. What stops one branch from becoming too powerful?
Checks and balances.
Yes, and separation of powers. Together, those two ideas are the foundation of fair government.
This makes the government feel more human, like people living together, trying not to drive each other crazy.
And that's exactly how democracy works. Coming up next, we'll tackle America's wars, heroes, and defining moments. History doesn't have to be dry. We'll make it epic. Don't go anywhere.
US Citizenship Test 2025 Talk Show Part 2. Interview Tips and Practice. Learn English Easy.
Welcome back to Pathway to Citizenship. We've just left our sitcom roommates, legislative, judicial, and the bossy executive, and now we're stepping into history class. But don't worry, not the boring kind with chalk dust and endless dates. Tonight, history is alive. Mark, let's start with a softball. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1900s.
World War II.
Perfect. Now let's picture it. The year is 1941. People are listening to swing music, watching black and white films, and just trying to get by after the Great Depression. Suddenly, Pearl Harbor is attacked. The whole nation is shocked. President Franklin Roosevelt, our executive roommate-in-chief, gets on the radio and declares December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
That's such a powerful line.
And that line wasn't just dramatic, it was a rallying cry. Overnight, factories switched from making cars to making tanks. Women joined the workforce in droves. Think Rosie the Riveter flexing her bicep. Soldiers headed overseas. And America fought the Axis powers, Japan, Germany, and Italy.
The axis of three, I like that. Makes it easy to remember.
Exactly. And the U.S. didn't just fight, they helped win the war. That's why World War II shows up on the test. It wasn't just another battle. It defined America's role as a global leader. But let's rewind. Who was president during World War I?
Woodrow Wilson.
Correct. He led the country into World War I in 1917, declaring America was fighting to make the world safe for democracy. He also pushed for the League of Nations, an early version of today's United Nations.
So even back then, America was trying to lead.
Yes, but not without controversy. Many Americans didn't want to get involved at all. That's another lesson. The test isn't just about names, it's about debates that shaped the nation. Now, let's jump forward again. Who was president during the Great Depression and World War II?
Franklin Roosevelt.
Spot on. FDR. He's famous for his New Deal programs, which gave people jobs building bridges, parks, and even art. And here's the fun fact. He was elected 4 times. Imagine voting for the same person for president 4 times.
Wow, that's like Netflix renewing the same series over and over.
Exactly. And his fireside chats on the radio made him a household voice. People felt like he was talking to them personally in their living rooms.
Kind of like how you're coaching me now.
My own fireside chat, minus the crackling logs. Okay, let's go further back. The Civil War. Name one problem that led to the Civil War.
Slavery.
Correct. And when Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, what did it do?
It freed the slaves in Confederate states.
Yes. Picture Lincoln, tall hat, signing that paper while cannons thundered in the distance. It didn't instantly end slavery everywhere, but it changed the meaning of the war. It became about freedom and unity. That's why Lincoln is remembered as more than just a president. He was a moral compass. He also preserved the Union, keeping the states together when they were ripping apart.
That makes freed the slaves more powerful than just a test answer.
Exactly. Every answer has a heartbeat. Now, the Cold War. The test asks, during the Cold War, what was the main concern of the United States?
Communism.
Right. Imagine the US and the Soviet Union in a staring contest that lasted decades. No direct battles, just spies, space races, and nuclear threats. It was called Cold because it was about tension, not open war. Think James Bond, but with real consequences.
That actually makes it easier to remember.
Good. And here's the lesson. The test isn't just about facts. It's about understanding why those facts mattered. Wars tested America's values: democracy, freedom, unity. When we return, we'll put down the weapons and pick up the fireworks. We're diving into symbols, holidays, and the icons that make America feel like home. Stay with us. Welcome back to Pathway to Citizenship. We've battled through wars. Now let's talk about what unites us when the fighting is done: symbols and holidays. Mark, let's start simple. Why does the flag have 13 stripes?
For the 13 original colonies.
Right. And why does the flag have 50 stars?
For the 50 states.
Perfect. Here's how I think of it. The flag is like a giant family photo. The 13 stripes, that's the original siblings, the first colonies. The 50 stars, that's the family today. Every time a new state joined, we added another star.
That makes it feel alive, like the family kept growing.
Exactly. And when you stand before that flag, you're standing before history. Now, holidays. When do we celebrate Independence Day?
July 4th.
Yes, And not just fireworks. Imagine 1776, colonists declaring independence from Britain, risking their lives, signing a piece of paper that said, "We're free." So every hot dog and sparkler today is rooted in that courage.
I'll never see July 4th as just a barbecue again.
Good. Now, another test question. Name 2 national U.S. holidays.
Christmas and New Year's Day.
Correct. And don't forget others. Memorial Day, when we honor fallen soldiers. Veterans Day, when we honor all who served. Thanksgiving, when we pause for gratitude. Each holiday is like a bookmark in America's story.
I didn't realize each had such a purpose.
That's why they're on the test. They're not random. They're reminders of values. Now, symbols. Where is the Statue of Liberty?
New York Harbor.
Right, and here's the powerful part. Picture the 1800s, ships full of immigrants arriving after long, dangerous journeys, seasickness, fear, hope, and suddenly, there she is, Lady Liberty holding a torch, lifting it high, saying, "Welcome, you belong."
Wow, that's emotional.
Exactly. She isn't just copper and steel. She's a symbol of freedom and refuge. Next, what do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance?
The United States and the flag.
Correct. And that pledge is more than a classroom routine. It's a promise. When times are hard, when opinions differ, you're still pledging loyalty to the bigger idea of America.
I used to think of it as just words. Now it feels deeper.
That's the transformation. You're not just memorizing, you're connecting. Last one. What is the name of the national anthem?
The Star-Spangled Banner.
Correct. Here's the story. It's 1814, during the War of 1812. The British are bombarding Fort McHenry all night. Rockets, explosions, chaos. A young lawyer, Francis Scott Key, looks out at dawn and sees the American flag still flying. Against all odds, it survived. Inspired, he writes a poem that becomes our anthem.
That's like a movie scene.
Exactly. And every time it plays, whether at a sports game or a ceremony, you're reliving that moment of resilience. So remember, flags, statues, songs, holidays, they aren't trivia. They're the heartbeat of the nation. And when you know their stories, you don't just pass the test, you live the meaning. Up next, we'll put Mark through a rapid-fire round of rights and responsibilities. Spoiler alert, he's going to nail it. Stay tuned.
Pathway to Citizenship Talk Show Part 3. Final Tips and Success Stories. Learn English easy.
Welcome back to Pathway to Citizenship. We've talked about wars and waved the flag. Now let's tackle one of the trickiest parts of the civics test, understanding rights versus responsibilities. Mark, tell me, what's one right from the First Amendment?
Freedom of speech.
Good. And the others, religion, press, assembly, and petition. Remember my trick, raps. Think of it as your freedom raps, your own mixtape of liberty.
Yo, freedom of speech, religion in reach, press keeps it tight, assembly at night, petitions my right, yeah.
Oh, that's gold. You'll never forget them now. But here's where it gets tricky. People often confuse rights with responsibilities. Rights are what you get. Responsibilities are what you give back.
Can you give me a clear example?
Absolutely. A right is voting in a federal election. A responsibility is serving on a jury when called. Only U.S. citizens can do those things. They're not just privileges, they're duties.
So if I skip voting, I'm skipping my duty.
Exactly. Let me give you the Netflix analogy again. The right is watching Stranger Things at 2 a.m. The responsibility is paying the subscription so the lights stay on at Netflix HQ.
So if I don't vote, I'm basically freeloading on democracy's Netflix account.
Yes, and here's the best part. Voting is like writing the next season. You don't just consume democracy, you help create it. Let's test you. What is one responsibility only for U.S. citizens?
Serving on a jury.
Correct. And voting in federal elections. Next, what are 2 ways Americans can participate in democracy?
Vote, run for office.
Yes. Others include contacting officials, volunteering for a campaign, or joining a civic group. Even peaceful protest is a way to participate.
So citizenship is active, not passive.
Exactly. You're not just a passenger, you're on the crew. Another test question. What is one promise you make when you become a U.S. citizen?
To be loyal to the United States.
Yes. And also obey laws, support the Constitution, and defend the country if needed. It's like joining a family. You get love, but you also do chores. And that's the beauty. Rights and responsibilities are 2 sides of the same coin. One hand holds freedom, the other holds duty.
That makes me feel like part of something bigger.
Because you are. That's what the officer wants to see. You don't just know the words, you understand the meaning. When we return, it's time for the grand finale. Mark faces a mock test, live on stage. Audience, are you ready to put him in the hot seat? All right, Mark, you've studied, you've laughed. You've wrapped the First Amendment. Now it's time for your mock interview. Answer clearly, confidently, and with a smile.
Let's go.
Question 1. What is the supreme law of the land?
The Constitution.
Correct. Who makes federal laws?
Congress.
Yes. Who signs bills to become laws?
The President, the executive roommate.
Beautiful callback. What stops one branch from becoming too powerful?
Checks and balances.
Perfect. Who was the first president?
George Washington, the father of our country and the original founding influencer.
Nice. What did the Emancipation Proclamation do?
Freed the slaves in Confederate states. Lincoln dropped the mic on injustice.
Excellent. During the Cold War, what was the main concern of the U.S.?
Communism.
Yes. Why does the flag have 50 stars?
For the 50 states.
Correct. What is the national anthem?
The Star-Spangled Banner.
Yes. When was the Declaration of Independence adopted?
July 4th, 1776.
Brilliant. Mark, you're on a roll. Lightning round time. No hesitation. How many senators are there?
100.
How many representatives?
435.
We elect a president for how many years?
4.
What is freedom of religion?
You can practice any religion, or none at all.
Yes. What do we call the first 10 amendments?
The Bill of Rights.
Yes. Name one U.S. territory.
Puerto Rico.
Correct. Who lived in America before Europeans arrived?
Native Americans.
Yes. What did Susan B. Anthony do?
Fought for women's rights.
Perfect. Mark, you just passed the mock test with flying colors. How do you feel?
Like I went from nervous wreck to history nerd. Honestly, I'm proud.
And you should be. You've shown more than memorization. You've shown understanding. But we're not done. When we return, our inspirational wrap-up. Mark reflects on his journey and maybe inspires someone else to take theirs. Tonight, we went on a journey. We started with nerves. Mark walked in unsure, worried about memorizing 100 questions. But now
I feel ready. More than ready. I don't just know the answers, I understand what they mean.
And that's the real secret, because citizenship isn't just about acing a test. It's about embracing the values behind those answers.
Back home, leaders acted untouchable. Here, I've learned no one is above the law, not even the executive.
Exactly. That's America's promise. Imperfect, yes. Struggling, yes. But always anchored in we the people.
And now I feel like I belong in that we.
Because you do. Every immigrant who becomes a citizen adds a new verse to America's song. You're not just joining, you're helping shape the future.
That makes me emotional.
It should. This isn't just paperwork. It's a milestone of belonging. To everyone watching, remember every question on that test tells a piece of the American story. When you study, don't just cram, connect. See the courage of Lincoln, the vision of the founders, the hope in the Statue of Liberty's torch.
That torch feels like it's shining for me now.
And it is. Soon you'll raise your right hand, take the oath of allegiance, and join millions of others who chose America. That's not just citizenship, it's legacy. Thank you, Mark, and thank you to our audience. Remember, study hard, laugh often, and never forget that you're part of something bigger. This has been Pathway to Citizenship.
And I'll never forget this night.
Neither will we. Good night, everyone.